There you go.
Got it. Thank you.
Ask a
Alrighty.
question, you guys.
Now, folks, I am going to
Jean
mute
will-
everyone, and then Cheryl, whom I can barely hear, I'm going to unmute you and unmute myself and kind of introduce you. I'm going to mute all. Yes, I muted everyone except me. Okay, and I'm looking for Cheryl. Where are you, Cheryl? Wrong Cheryl. Okay, everybody, thank you. Can you all hear me? Nod, please. Yay. Okay. I don't know Cheryl personally. I used to write on the website that you managed, Cheryl. And know her through that way. I know she's a lady of many tricks and trades and has many skills. And I think you're going to learn a lot from her presentation. Cheryl, we're just so thrilled to have you here. And let me know if this is okay with you. I will ask folks to put their questions in the chat, and please precede your questions with 2 question marks. And that way I will know that you are, that it is a question. Okay, I'm going to put that in the chat and then put your question. And then at the end, or would you prefer to answer questions as you go, Cheryl?
After each section, I'll give everybody a chance to ask a question. Can everybody hear me?
Barely. Very soft. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, much better.
You need to put that right in front of you. Instead of over there, it needs to be right in front of you.
Let's do this. Yay. I don't want to, but you'll see it. That's all right. You guys don't
Right
care
there is good. Right there is fine. If it'll stand up. Okay, and since she would like to answer questions a little bit each time, you do not have to put your questions in the chat. You can if you want. I'll be watching for them, or you can wait and I will unmute everybody when she's ready to take questions, or you can unmute yourself when you're ready to ask a question. How's that? That would be better. Okay, Cheryl, you're going to have to use your big girl voice.
Yes, and I do have a big girl voice. I can hold this if it doesn't bother people, because can everybody hear me clear and concise now? Okay, great. Now I'm going to pray, and after I pray, and as I'm introducing myself just a little bit, I want to tell you how I got into book proposals. I want you to type in where you're from, and Jean will call out what state, country, or where you're listening in from. But let's pray. Lord, we just thank you that you are our God and we are your people. We thank you that you use us to spread your message. You use the likes of us. Lord, the book proposal is, I find, one of the hardest things to write, sometimes even harder than the book. And I know it's daunting for many people. Help me to explain it in a clear, concise way. And I pray all those who are listening would understand and that nobody would feel difficult, or their questions. Lord, let them ask their questions. They would not think any question is a bad question. Just let them ask whatever question they have, Lord. We commit this hour to you. We thank you and keep all of the technology working in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, let us know where you're from. Louisville, yay! Kentucky, South Dakota, oh, I love it. Ohio. Well, I'm Cherrilynn Bisbano, and God called me to write in 2014. And he catapulted me into the writing world. Kyle Young, many of you know who he is. He's a great pastor, a great writer. He is a literary agent, award-winning writer, and I started working for Almost an Author with him. From there, I started working with Serious Writer, and then he asked me if I wanted to do submissions reading. I said, sure, I'll read submissions for you. And then I became a junior literary agent. all in the course of 3 years. And what I learned so much, and I thank Kyle for that. But what I learned is the book proposal is something that many people have a hard time with. In fact, the hundreds of proposals that I looked at, there was only one perfect proposal. There were good proposals, and please, I'm not putting writers down. I just don't think there's enough information out there in one place. You'd have to read a whole book, which takes a long time. So what I did is I really wanted to help my brothers and sisters get the proposals, get them together, because it's a lot of information. It's really daunting. And please stay on, because I'm going to show you that you can do it. And so as I'm working with Kyle and Serious Writer, I'm having a blast. I'm interviewing best-selling authors. I'm just having so much fun. And the Lord impressed upon my heart, step down and start a book proposal business and help my kids out. I'm like, I don't know that much about book proposals. Just learn, keep learning, and just do it. And so I started a book proposal business called The Right Proposal. And after a year, I joined forces with Joyce Glass, and now we're the Right Coach team. What I love about working with writers is just encouraging them, equipping them, and educating them, especially in the book proposal, because there's a lot of information out there. Now, when I give you this overview, I mean, this is just the basics. The biggest thing, and if you were watching last night to Bob Hostetler and Chip and everybody, one of the biggest things that was said is submission guidelines. You have to adhere to submission guidelines. So I must tell you, what I am teaching you is we'll cover everything you will need, but submission guidelines change from agent to agent and publisher to publisher. So you always, always, always go by submission guidelines. And I will say that because I know some people just want a cover letter in the first 3 chapters. Some people want your marketing plan, the dreaded marketing plan. And some people want just a few things. But an entire proposal will be needed once they accept your book. And everything that I'm covering today in the short period of time that we have will be included in almost every proposal. So I'm not going to go over the cover sheet. That's plain, it's simple. Some of the things I'm going to go into more detail with. And if you have a question over something that I just glaze over, please ask the questions, please. So in a proposal, the proposal, I'm going to go over all the components and then we're going to break them down. You have the 1-page sell sheet. You have the biographical sketch or the author's biography. You have the story synopsis or chapter review. Did you guys download? There is a download for my class. So if you just want to listen, yes, you got it. Some people have it. If you just want to listen, or if you want to take a few minutes, no, don't take a few minutes to get the download. You can always go back and watch this. But just listen. But this has everything you need and what I'm going by. So the 1-page sell sheet, the biographical sketch or the author's biography, the story synopsis or chapter review, the market analysis, the competitive analysis, the marketing plan. Some people want the history of the manuscript, and then the 3 chapters. So let's talk about the 1-page sell sheet. Now, the 1-page sell sheet is not to get confused with a 1-sheet or a 1-page. It's that they are accepting here at the conference. That is an overall view of your book, yes, and some of the same information is on it. But what you'll be submitting to agents and publishers has all the bells and whistles, pictures, curly Q, text, and stuff like that. In a book proposal, the one-page sell sheet has none of that. The only pictures that should be on your one-page sell sheet is an updated picture of you. Now, what do you put on a one-page sell sheet? Tagline, your hook for your book. I think it was Bob Hostetler last night said that's what he looks for. If you can hook me, I'm going to read the rest of it. Your hook. Then you have your first line that talks about, that has the title in it, the genre, and the word count. So you would say, I'm writing a book called Sidetracked But Not Derailed. Sidetracked But Not Derailed is a 55,000 word spiritual living book, something like that. That's what you would put. Then you would have your back cover. That goes on this sheet as well. The back cover is the back cover of your book. So there's a lot of information that you have to have ahead of time. And what I highly suggest is, if you're writing fiction, nonfiction, whatever you're writing, go to books that are similar and look at the back covers of them and read their back covers. It's going to be a hook to want to get it's like an advertisement. It's like a commercial for your book. And if you need help with those, you'll get my email. I can help you. I love helping people with back covers. So in the one-page sell sheet, you have your tagline or your hook. You have your line, it's information line about your book. Then you have an abbreviated bio, and that's where you write why you're the person to write this book, a little bit about your education and your writing, and then your recent photo. In your line where you have the title, genre, and word, and I'm sorry that I didn't mention this, you have a little brief 2 to 3 sentences about your book. And I think what a lot of people will tell you, no matter if you're doing your book proposal, your one sheet, your elevator pitch, get your book down to 3 lines. Be able to talk about it in 3 lines in a minute. So your one-page sell sheet. The next section, your biographical sketch or your author's page, whatever you want to call it. You want to put your writing experience, your education, your achievements, and any publishing history. You also want to put a picture there. Some people, you want your picture on both. I do this because some people go straight to the biography. Some people go straight to the one sheet. They want to see who you are. They want to be able to, if they see you at a conference or somewhere, be able to pick you out. So that's your biographical sketch. Now, the story synopsis or chapter review. Now, if you are writing a fiction book, you write a story synopsis. It should be about 3 pages, up to 3 pages. I'm not going to go into all the detail of how to do this because of time constraints. However, you do need to, in the story synopsis, give up the ending. You need to address your main characters, the plot of the story, what they're overcoming, and other secondary characters and what they may be overcoming in the book. But you do have to give away the plot. No, the agent or the publisher are not going to steal your idea. With a fiction book, the fiction book has to have a review for each chapter. Please don't start chapter 1, this chapter is about. Try to hook them. My book, the Sidetracked But Not Derailed, I'll say statistics show that this many people Christians are disabled or suffer from a chronic illness. And then I'll start writing. Hook them for each chapter. Now, I did say I would talk about children's books a little bit. children's books, I am not an expert, and I will never say I'm an expert. Somebody who I know that's really good with them is Michelle Medlock Adams. You need to have picture books. Children's books are laid out in like little plots, sections, little cells, and you have to put each page in there and what is on that page. You don't necessarily have the artwork. If you are doing a children's book, I highly recommend you work with someone who is a professional with children's books. I am not. But what I do know with a children's book proposal, you need to have the entire book written. So, and let me talk about that. Bob Hostetler and Chip and I talked about it last night. A fiction book has to be totally written before you submit your proposal. A memoir, even though it's nonfiction, the whole thing should be written. Bob said he'd like to have nonfiction's books totally written, but it's not necessary with most agents and publishers, but I would ask with each one. But my understanding is with a nonfiction book, the entire book does not have to be written to submit a proposal, at least 3 chapters. But Bob said he'd like to have the whole thing written. So if you're submitting to Bob, make sure the whole thing's written, or almost 90% of it. And I see some questions and stuff, and we'll go over those in a bit. Let me see. Do you recommend adding affiliations or memberships in your bio? Absolutely, absolutely. Especially in your author bio, yes. And remember, this is just the basics. Any affiliation, especially writing affiliations, and especially writing awards. Okay, here's a children's book author. Can I put a photo of the front cover of the book, since I'm the artist, along with a photo of myself on the one sheet? I wouldn't do that unless they don't mind. Unless what I would do is I would maybe put a picture of yourself holding it, so they get both of them. I mean, it's not a no-no. You could do that, but the publisher may not want, please forgive me for saying this, but they might not want your artwork. You're probably a brilliant artist, Susan, but they may want someone else's artwork with your book. But what I would do, if I was coaching you, I would tell you, hold a picture in your photo. And also, I could say maybe put it on your author page and say, or the, where else would you put that? Maybe you could enter it in the story synopsis. You could probably put a section where the book cover would be there, and then the rest of the format for the children's book. I hope I answered your question. If one sheets were submitted to agents and editors at the conference this weekend, would a website header or branding purposes be appropriate? Or should the sheet be strictly related to the book, only with a photo related to the specific story? If you are branded and you have a brand and you have an appropriate header, I think you should put it on there. Why not? Why not? How long should each chapter summary be for the nonfiction proposal? I'd say 3 to 4 lines. How long should your marketing plan be and your proposal? We're going to talk about that. If you are an author, illustrator, agents have different requirements. Yes. Thank you for answering. Yes, you're welcome. So now we're on, I know this is very generic and very basic, but because of time's constraints, I'm just giving you the overview. So what about the market analysis? So we've discovered the one-page sell sheet, the author biography or biographical sketch, the story synopsis or chapter review, Now, what about the market analysis? Now, fiction books are a little bit different, but if you're doing a YA and about vampires, I know some Christians won't do that, but whatever your market is, I would do a little research, and I would actually use statistics and say 60% of YA readers love vampires in their books. And you can compare, well, the competitive analysis will compare it to other books. But your market should not be everyone. It's never everyone. I like to say have a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary audience. I'll give you an example. I'm using a book that I'm writing in the right now, so I can give you examples. But my book is called Sidetracked but Not Derailed: Hope for the Chronically Ill, Disabled, and Depressed. So my primary audience is women between the ages of 40 and 70 who struggle with a chronic illness, depression, or a disability. And I have done research on that, and I've actually put what the statistics are. My secondary audience would be pastors, Christians, clergy, who want to help these people. And my tertiary audience is actually non-believers who need hope. If you need help with any of this, I'd be more than happy to help you. My email address is, if Jean wants to put it in there, is godsfruit, GODSFRUIT 3 @gmail.com. Maybe we can schedule a 30 minutes to talk here or there. Okay, a sample children's fiction proposal on my website. Oh, great. Thank you, Jean. I knew you. Yes, Jean's good. Jean would be a good person to talk to as well. Because children's books are a whole nother, right, Jean? They're a whole nother monster. But proposals have the same information in them, but the children's proposal is definitely set up a little bit different. So your market analysis, who are you writing your book to? And put a little bit, I would try to do a little bit of research as well. Why do the research? Because what an agent and a publisher want to know is that you know your audience. They want to know you know your audience. You can even put my audience is on Instagram, and and they say they want this book. I've polled this many, and they say they would like to have this aspect in a book. So when you do your market analysis, you can get really in depth. But try to have a primary, secondary, and tertiary, and never say it's for everybody. That'll be turned down right away. I've had people say my book needs to be in every library. I'm a better writer than J.K. Rowling. I've had some pretty wild stuff, and unfortunately, you know, God's called us all to write. And I was going to save this to the end, but I'm going to tell you now. God has called us all to write. So please don't write, God had told me that you need to publish this book. God told me that you need to represent this book. That's right. Penny, who are you writing for? Teen girls? Yes. I'm glad you guys are talking amongst yourselves. That's great. So let's do the competitive analysis. Now, the biggest question I get on the competitive analysis is, do I compare my book to best-selling books? Absolutely. Absolutely. What the competitive analysis does is it compares your book to other similar books in the marketplace. And it proves that your book is needed, and wanted. In the competitive analysis, what you do is you identify novels published within, I'd say, 5 years that are similar to yours. Explain how your book is superior, I should say is the same, and how your book is different, and what your book has to offer that the other book doesn't. When you do a competitive analysis, say you're comparing your book, say like you're doing a diet book and you're comparing your diet book to Oprah's diet book. You would put, I don't know what her diet book's name is, but Oprah's diet book written by Oprah, and then you would put who the publisher is, and then the date, and then the ISBN number. Now, this is not on here, so I don't know if Jean wants to type that in. You would put the name of the book, who it's by, the title of the book, who it's by, the author, the publisher, and then the year it was published, and then the ISBN number. Some people put the price. I don't put that on my proposals. However, like everyone says, submission guidelines. Please, please, please go use the submission guidelines, because 99.9% of publishers and agents, if you don't submit in accordance to their guidelines, it doesn't matter if yours is the next masterpiece. They'll delete your proposal. That's because they don't have time. It's not someone you mean or they're playing God. It's just they don't have time. They spend a lot of time reading proposals, answering emails, and publishers are trying to get, and agents are trying to get the best deal for you if you have an agent or a publisher. So do what they say. And another reason they have guidelines, if you don't follow them, agents don't want to work with somebody who doesn't want to follow directions. Directions are there for a reason. And I found that out the hard way. I'm going to tell you some things in the end not to do when you submit your proposal, if we have time. So the competitive analysis. Grab about 7 books. What I like to do competitive analysis. I go to either Amazon or Christian book distributors, depending on what genre of book, if it's Christian or if it's non-Christian. I go to them, and what I do is I type in similar, like with my book, I typed in disability, I typed in chronic illness, and you can select best-selling, you can select release date. Go find them and get best-selling books. Avoid self-published books unless they have a lot of good reviews, many reviews. But do that and find them and grab a little bit of the blurb that's already on the page about the book. I copy and paste it into my competitive analysis, and I reword it a little bit, and then I answer those questions. Why is my book similar? Why is my book different? What does my book have to offer that theirs doesn't? And this is the information that agents and publishers want. You can even go to, I did for one of my books, another proposal for a book that I submitted previously. I went to one of the competitive books and read the reviews. And what happened was the book, one of the reviews, a couple of the book reviews said, I wish this book had this. And my book had it. So I said, reviews said they wish the book had it, and my book does. Never, never, never say your book is better or you're a better writer or anything like that. Just state the facts. It will be obvious if you're a better writer and if your book is better once they choose to publish it. What would you consider a good amount of reviews if you choose an independently published book to compare to? I would probably say 20 or more 5 stars. I may be wrong on that, but I would say at least 20 or more 5-star. And if a book has a lot of 5 and 4 stars and a few 1 stars, go read why it's a 1 star. Sometimes those books that get the bad reviews are the books that are the ones that people buy the most. And that's a whole nother teaching about reviews. Do not compare your book to, oh yeah, that's right, unless they have phenomenal sales. Thank you, Jean. Yes, they have to have phenomenal sales. So your competitive analysis. If you need help with this, I can help you. You got my email. The marketing plan. This is the dreaded marketing plan. People, this is the part that people hate the most. And this is the part where a lot of people give up. I've talked to people at conferences and some of my clients that I coach, and they give up. They're like, I don't have a good social media platform. I don't have a good platform. And I want to tell you something. You don't know. Brainstorm with somebody if you don't know. I had this one girl, I won't give you her name, but she's like, I don't have a platform. And I went and I started looking at her Facebook. She only had a couple hundred. Twitter, she just started. She just got a website. And I said, you're right. And I said, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. She goes, well, I work for John Maxwell. And I'm like, so you're John Maxwell certified, you teach leadership. She goes, no, I'm on his team, on his individual team. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I said, you're on John Maxwell's team, like you have his ear. And she said, yes. I said, it's a whole new ballgame. That's a whole new ballgame. And so she could get him, his CEO to endorse her book. I said, it's a whole ballgame. So you see what I mean? Just because you only have a few hundred followers, don't worry about it. So let's dive into the marketing plan a little bit. Somebody said, what do you consider a good platform? Let me tell you this. In your competitive analysis, the reason you have your competitive analysis is that you have to prove to your agent or the publisher that you can sell 5,000 to 8,000 books out of the gate. Now, I try to keep up on these numbers, and I try to talk to publishers and agents, and I haven't done so probably in probably a few months, 6 months since this whole thing, COVID thing. But your platform, they want to know that you can sell at least 5,000 to 8,000 books. And some people are like, well, that's a lot. And yes, it is a lot of books. However, if you know a lot of people, this is what I tell people. And in this, it says to list schools, organizations, and things you belong to. And somebody was saying on the panel last night, Chip McGregor gave an excellent explanation of platform for nonfiction books. He did. Thank you, Jean. The platform is different for fiction and nonfiction. I am going to give you just general platform. But with nonfiction, your platform has to be solid. And I think, like I said, they want to know you can sell at least 5,000 to 8,000 books out of the gate. So how do you do this? What I do is with my clients, I like to list the highest number platform to the lowest. If you hardly have any social media, I put that at the bottom. Now, this woman who is getting a CEO's, John Maxwell CEO's endorsement, is putting that at the top. So say like you graduated Liberty University and your book is a Christian book, and Liberty University has a alumni newsletter. Find out how many's on that. Because what happens is, I tell people, contact where you've been to school, contact universities and organizations. One of the women that I was speaking with about her platform, she worked with Shell Corporation, and they would want to know her biography. She was actually writing a memoir. She said, of course they'd want to know. Most of them know me. I said, well, find out how many people are involved and who would want that there, because they also have, a newsletter. And she goes, oh, that's like hundreds and hundreds of thousands. I said, yes. So find out. So it's not that you're going to sell to everybody, but that's 100,000 people, 500,000 people you never thought of. You belong to, someone was mentioning the writing organizations. These writing organizations have a lot of people, and especially Christian writers. I mean, I think you guys can shake your head when I say this. Christian writers like to support each other, don't we? We like to support one another. It might not be that in the real world, and most Christian writers, 90%, we like to support each other. So those organizations, do you know someone famous? Will they tweet and retweet and talk about and endorse your book? If you want to brainstorm this, email me and let's brainstorm. I can give you 15 to 30 minutes of free time to help brainstorm this. But there's Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Awana, there's your church organization, there's, if you belong to the Southern Baptist Convention or something like that, there's lots and lots of ways that you can sell your book that you probably haven't realized. So, I mean, the marketing plan, yes, it is daunting. In your marketing plan, they want to know if you have a website. They want to know if you have a blog. They want to know if you are on social media. If you don't have any of those, do not submit your proposal. Go build a website. Get on social media. Because what happens is if you put, I will do this, I will do that, I will contact this person, no. Do it before you send your proposal. It's a lot of work. Yes, it is. It's a lot of work. But you know what? The work is worth it. Once you do it once, you'll have this whole thing and you just update it a little bit for your future books. So do the work. If you don't have money for a website, if you don't know how to do any of these things, barter with somebody. I barter with a lot of people. I'm not a website builder, so, but I've bartered with lots of people. You probably have something to offer. So what we've gone over is your one-page sell sheet, your biographical sketch or your author page, your story synopsis or chapter review, your market analysis, the competitive analysis, the marketing plan. Now, the history of the manuscript, and I want to apologize ahead of time because, and they say you should never apologize when you teach, but there's so much to teach in a book proposal, and and this is just the basics, and I want to try to cover everything for you, and I don't want to leave anything out. So whatever question you have, please ask, because I want to leave at least 15 minutes for questions. So the history of the manuscript is, did the manuscript win an award somewhere? Because sometimes you can send into conferences and stuff if it hasn't been published yet, and you could win an award. Have you sent it to other publishers or anything? Some people like to even put their editor in there, especially if your editor is an award-winning editor.
Cheryl,
So the history of the manuscript, simultaneous submissions, yes?
you have 15 minutes.
Thank you. And your three chapters, with the nonfiction has to be the first three. I mean, with the fiction, it has to be the first three. With the nonfiction, a lot of them ask what they want. Usually submit the first one and two of your best other chapters. And I just want to read this. Tips. Always read the submission guidelines before submitting your manuscript. Always, always, always. If you have a question, find the answer. Ask it. If you don't want to ask the publisher or the agent themselves, or if they're not getting back to you because they're so busy, ask somebody you know who has submitted to them recently. Always have your proposal professionally edited. I do proposal reviews. I'm not trying to get work, but if you want me to review your proposal, I would love to do that, and we can talk about that some other time. This is one thing that I did wrong, and I've seen a lot of other people do wrong. When you send your proposal, don't CC 100 people. Don't CC 10 people. Don't CC 3 or 4 people. Send each proposal individually, because that will quickly get you a delete. Other things not to do: misspell the name of the person you're sending it to. Deb Haggerty had some awesome, I love Deb Haggerty. Her biggest no-no: grammar mistakes. So make sure you have your proposal professionally edited. Okay, how much should a proposal review cost? Okay, Dina, everybody is different. I know I charge a lot less. I mean, if you want to talk about that after. That's something I tell all my clients: please research when you edit. Please research proposals. Editing can cost anywhere from $4 to $10 a page, or $4 to $7 a page. Some people charge by the hour. Some people charge by the word. Some people, for a proposal, depending on what kind of proposal, some people charge anywhere from, the cheapest I've seen is mine, but I'm not trying to promote myself, but I'm saying the cheapest proposal I've seen is mine. And the next one is about $999. And if anybody's in between there, please let me know. And then they go up to $10,000 for nonfiction proposals, especially for people who are really famous. So it's an expensive it's not an expense, it's an investment in your career. If our marketing plan includes things we can only do in the future, like solicit interviews related to the book and ask our endorsements to tweet share about it, is it okay then to say I will do things? Yes. What I would do is I would contact, like I have a radio station and I've been on a radio program. I said, hey, I'm writing a book. Do you think you'd be interested in me coming back on? And they'll absolutely contact them and get a verbal yes. And of course, yes, I contacted the person, they gave me a verbal yes. That's what I would write. But I know it's hard because, you know, you're in that section, they want a media kit. There's other things that you need for that section, like a media kit, interviews, future interviews, radio, book tours, things like that. I'm giving you the basic. No, the $10,000 for a book proposal itself, Robin. Thank you for correcting me. It's not the edits. No, edits is different. For a completed book proposal, I'm sorry, I'm talking fast. A book proposal itself, I've seen from my price up to $10,000. The whole book proposal, the person creating it for you. Editing is another thing. I've seen it done by word, by page, and by hour. But these are things that you need to research. But thank you for clarifying, Robin. I don't want to get any misinformation out there. I'm just trying to get everybody's question answered within the hour. And sometimes I get so excited, I just skip over words. And so thank you for that, Robin. I love that, Jean. The quality of a proposal is at least as important as the quality of a book. Yeah, if not more important. Does anybody have any other questions? And I'm sorry I went so fast. I just wanted to get the information to you. What I can do, and I wasn't going to do this, however, since you are watching this, what I'm going to do for everybody who's watching this, I'm not in Kentucky, no. I'm in Rhode Island. But we can do Kentucky via Zoom, is if you send me a email and put free gift in the subject line, I am going to send you, and I can't believe I'm doing this. Now I sound like a commercial, but God is telling me to do this. I am going to send you my detailed book proposal checklist. And that goes into, this sheet is not detailed. My detailed book proposal checklist, I think, is 4 pages. So if you send me godsfruit3@gmail.com and put free gift in the subject line, I will send you my detailed free gift, GIFT, free gift. That's, and that I usually charge for that. And I want to give it to you guys because I don't feel this just covers the surface. Book proposals is your in. A book proposal is it's your resume for you and your book, and you want that to be perfect. For new writers, what do you do to sell yourself if you don't have any writing experience, awards, achievements? That's great. I highly suggest you listen to last night, also because they got into that. If you write devotions, start submitting devotions online. If you write articles, start small. Start small. Get your name out there. I did. I had no writing experience. Ask if you can submit to certain places. Like there's maybe writing conferences like Blue Ridge. They look for Blue Ridge Mountain Writing website. They look for submissions for their blog. I write for their blog. Maybe Almost an Author. They don't pay, but you can submit, and then you can say, hey, I'm a published writer, and keep doing that. And like they said last night, I highly suggest, if you have not seen last night's panel discussion, you go watch it, because there is tons of great information there. Thank you. Yes, Blue Ridge, Almost an Author. There's so many places. I would get the Christian Writers Handbook. What is that called, Jean? Where you can get submissions. There's so many places.
Christian Writers Market Guide.
You can. Thank you. Ooh, that sounds like God. Thank you. Christian Writers Market Guide. Thank you, Greg. There's so many places. Greg probably knows a lot more places too, to submit your writing. They want you to know that you're getting your writing out there. They want to know that you will do whatever it takes. And they also know that God has gifted you. But I want to give you a little bit of encouragement before we get off, because I don't see any more. Yeah, networking. Yes, Dina, networking is so good. Yes. But I want to give you encouragement. I was wondering, I was being overlooked all the time. And I'm like, why isn't anybody wanting my stuff? And in prayer, and I hope a lot of you can join my the right prayer tomorrow morning at 7:30. I know it's early, but get up with me and let's pray together. Because God is the one who calls us to write. God is the one who is going to get it out there in his timing for his purpose.
Amen.
Sometimes his purpose is to help you heal. Sometimes his purpose is to get you writing so that you can sharpen your tools. I highly suggest you get in a writing group or a critique group. Definitely go to conferences. And I want to congratulate you guys for being here. I know you're stuck at home, but congratulations for taking the time out to grow as a writer, because it's a lot. There's a lot to know. And I want to share something with you. I'm going to be very candid. And my first writing conference, I got 5 minutes. My first writing conference, I just went to see the Lord wanted me to write. I met this awesome guy who is a writer. No, I mean, like, he's an awesome writer, and he was an older guy, seasoned writer, because he can outrun any of us. And I met him, and I went to class, my first class. He's the instructor. I'm like, oh, wow, because I didn't know anybody. Found out he's a best-selling writer and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, my. His name is Cecil Murphy. So I'm in his class, and I rose my hand because I'm not afraid. I rose my hand. I said, Cease. Oh, I said, Cecil. He goes, it's Cease. Because he was all my friends call me Cease. So I have a question. What is a protagonist? Okay, laugh. You can laugh at me. I don't care. What is a protagonist? And I heard some snickering. And Cease says to everybody, you know, we have people of all abilities and at every, different aspects of writing. So he told me what it was. So wherever you are in your writing career, please keep going. Cease is a huge encouragement. Yes, he is. How do you find a writing group? We can see what we can do to help you. 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, yes. So if you have any other questions, please email me. I may not be able to get to them this weekend because I'm with my mom, helping take care of her. And I'm always open to help you, because that's what we're here for. We're here to help you. And Kentucky Writers Christian Conference is they just wanted to help you, that they overcame many obstacles, especially the technology, and they're blowing it out of the park, aren't they, G? The Writers Conference. They're just doing a good job. Word Weavers is great. And thank you guys so much. And continue to write. And I hope you join me tomorrow morning at 7:30. Take care and God bless.
Thank you,
So,
everybody.
just two quick announcements. Cherrilynn had mentioned the panel. We had a very lively panel last night. If you go to the 2020 homepage and select last night's time frame, that'll take you to the panel website. The video of the panel is there, along with a text file of the complete chat. It is closed captioned. If you don't feel like listening, you can read. But a very lively panel if you want to follow that up. And we also do have the prayer room open. If you go to the prayer room, it's virtual. All of the prayer requests will remain confidential, but it just lets us know how we can pray for you. And again, the prayer room tomorrow morning is 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, and Greg, the prayer room, how do they get that?
So there is a link to the prayer room when you go to the 2020 homepage now. It is, you submit your prayer requests, and they are anonymous, but we just want to know how to pray for you.
Okay, because I will definitely mention that tomorrow morning.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Cheryl.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.